The silence ends with you. The emotional neglect ends with you. The belief that love must be earned ends with you. Whew, I will say that again. I am allowed to give myself what she couldn't give me. Go and tell your mama, well, you didn't love me, or you ain't come to my graduation and my baby shower. Early on, that being a good daughter meant being quiet about what hurt. What did I have to suppress to keep the peace with my mother? But did you die? What do you mean, but did you die? I'm stuck. I can't go nowhere. I'm in prison. I don't know how to love myself. I don't know how to put myself first. I have no boundaries. It looked like choosing other things instead of your child. So stop crying before I give you something to cry about. You're too sensitive. I don't have time for this. Hey survivors, welcome back to But Did You Die? Chaos, lessons, and laughs. The space where we stop glamorizing survival and start telling the truth about what it cost us. I'm Dr. Survivalist, your internet therapist in a pink coat. And today, we're opening a conversation many Black women were never given permission to have. Yes, we're talking about mother wounds, not in blaming away things, not in a disrespectful way, but in an honest way. This is for the women who were raised by mothers who did their best and still left parts of you unseen, unheard, or emotionally alone. Okay, so she may have protected you, she may have sacrificed for you, and she still may not have known how to nurture you. So in this episode, we're going to name that grief without guilt. Yes, without guilt. So because the truth isn't disloyal, the truth is therapeutic. So if you've ever felt torn between honoring your mother and honoring your healing, this conversation is for you. All right. So let's begin. And so you already know what I like to do. You better get started. You better get ready because this conversation is going to be hard. Probably should have did it on Mother's Day, but hey, I got other plans for Mother's Day. So we're going to go ahead and start with our song. I think that's what we'll call it. Song. All right, let's get ready. Buckle up. Sit back. Girl, you not under attack. Buckle up. Relax. Girl, you know I got your back. Buckle up. Sit back. Girl, you not under attack. Girl, buckle up. Relax. Girl, you know I got your back. Girl, you know I got your back. All right, so let's get into this very needed conversation. And so because this is a heavy topic, I made sure I got my theme, my therapeutic focus, the cultural insight, the core messaging, and soul questions. So if you don't get anything, if you happen to be going through and listen to podcasts and then you stop and you come back to it, you're going to get what you need with these few things that I'm about to go over. Okay. All right. Me and this mic. All right. So the theme is going to be mother wounds. All right. Just mother wounds, survival mode, emotional neglect, faith, and breaking generational cycles. So breaking generational cycles, exploring how unlearned and unhealed maternal relationship shape identity, softness, boundaries, and emotional safety, and how Black women can reclaim wholeness without guilt. So I know a lot of y'all want to say stuff, but we can't say stuff because you feel like you don't want to hurt your mom, and all these things and everybody else. So you just don't say stuff. So you just carry it and hold it. And now, you're repeating patterns. So therapeutic focus, mother wounds and emotional neglect, reparenting and nervous system healing, survival-based identity versus embodied softness, self-compassion without self-betrayal. Yes. All right. Boundary work in faith and family systems. So cultural insight. Black women are often raised, again, we already know, to be strong, silent, and self-sacrificing, especially in homes shaped by generational trauma and church culture, right? And so this episode names how tough love often masked as emotional absence, faith as used to silence grief instead of supporting healing. The strong Black woman archetype was learned at home first. And we honor, again, this is not a blame. This is not a fuss. They did what they had to do to get what they need to do. And, we already know that. But in order for us to heal and move forward, we have to be able to identify and name those things. So we honor our mothers and ourselves by telling the whole truth. Core messaging. You are not ungrateful for grieving unmet needs. Healing your mother wound does not dishonor your mother. Survival is not same as safety. You are allowed to give yourself what she could not. The cycle ends with compassion, not shame. So this episode affirms you are not broken. You are becoming whole. The soul question, what part of me learned to survive because softness wasn't safe? And how can I begin to mother that part differently now? So how can I begin to mother that part of me differently now? So what you'll experience in this episode, naming the cost of being raised to survive instead of feel. Unlearning faith-based guilt around honor thy mother. Recognize how mother wounds show up in relationship and leadership. Learning what self-mothering actually means. Reclaiming softness as legacy, not weakness. All right. Do we need to sing the song again? Or you with me? You with me? And so another reason why I really want to talk about this topic is because it is like a secretly known conversation that's not conversation that mothers are oftentimes against their daughters. It's a sad truth. I don't even know that they know that that's what's going on. It's like a secret competition, a secret. I'm better. You sit down and you this and you that. I've ran into a lot of clients where their mothers were jealous of them. And so it's begun a constant back and forth competition, especially in the Black community. And because of this, I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to bring it out. I want to, address these unspoken cultural trauma. So we're going to break it into 5 segments, each with its own emotional arc and movement, align, and energy. So she taught me to survive, not to feel. That's the truth. And they did what they had to do with what they had. So she taught you how to survive, but oftentimes she did not really know how to feel on her own. It was always on the next, always what to do. Feed the children, keep going, da. So our mothers taught us how to survive, but sometimes survival comes at the cost of softness. So, we're going to start the conversation with, again, care and consideration. I really want to make sure we saying this. It's not saying I bashed my mom. She was never, no. What we're saying is she raised us to be strong. She raised us in survival mode. We are out of survival mode. We don't have to be in survival mode. So because when we talk about our mothers, especially Black mothers, we are often holding gratitude and grief at the same time. This segment is not about blame. It is about honesty. So because many of us were raised by women who loved us deeply, but were never taught how to feel safely themselves. And so this translate into parenting and mothering. And, we're going to break into that. So our mothers taught us how to survive, but sometimes survival came at the cost of softness. The strong Black mother didn't appear out of nowhere. She was shaped by poverty, racism, abandonment, single motherhood, church pressure, and generations of women who had no room to fall apart. Let's be mindful of that. Gently. Strength became the language of love. Endurance became protection, and silence became safety. So for many of the mothers, crying wasn't allowed. That's just was not what it was allowed. If you cried, whatever you cried from was about to get double. Rest wasn't practical. Rest. Better rest these dishes. Gentleness felt like a liability. So when they raised us, they didn't ask, how do you feel? Are you okay? They asked, did you survive? Did you make it? Are you still standing? I really want to be gentle with this because we are now the mothers. And so now we're able to look back at like, okay, what was really going on and what happened, right? And that strength did keep families alive, but survival is not the same as emotional safety. So many of us grew up. So segment 2, emotional neglect disguised as tough love. Many of us grew up believing that love looked like correction, control, criticism, because that's how it was given to our mothers. So emotional neglect didn't look like abandonment. I don't even know if they knew what the word was back then. It looked like being told, get over it. It's been worse things to happen to you. It looked like being punished for crying and asking for help. Being told you a liar. Don't nobody believe you. You're looking for attention. It looked like being corrected instead of comforted. It looked like choosing other things instead of your child. So stop crying before I give you something to cry about. You're too sensitive. I don't have time for this. Be strong. Life isn't fair. Does any of these things sound familiar to you? Or to the mother who raised a child? And while discipline has a place, children don't learn emotional regulation from discipline alone. They learn it from being soothed, taught. I will say this, like the African American culture and community don't know how to regulate emotions. We just push them down. And that's because we didn't really have a space for it. But now we do. Okay, now we do. Because your girl is here. All right. Survival equals safety. Survival teaches you how to function. Safety teaches you how to feel. So you grow up. You can grow up fed. You can grow up clothed and educated and still feel emotionally homeless. Feel like your mama don't even like you. She don't, understand. So when a child isn't soothed, their nervous system stays on high alert. They grow into adults who overfunction, overachieve. You sounding about, you getting me? And overgive because their body never learned that rest was safe. So because you didn't get that and you didn't learn that, you did these things to prove, hey, I'm a good girl. I'm a good daughter. Save me, keep me. Right? So that's why so many Black women struggle with hyper independence, emotional shutdown, anxiety masked as productivity, discomfort receiving care. Right? Girl, I don't know what all this eyelashes so itchy. They sure be trying to get me. All right. The cost of not being seen or safe. The deepest wound isn't that our mothers didn't love us. It's that many of us didn't feel known. They didn't know. So when a child isn't seen, she learns to disappear. When she isn't soothed, she learns to self-abandon. When she isn't safe, she learns to stay on guard. I know this is very triggering. I feel it even as I'm saying it's like all of the stuff that's coming up, like for the woman that had to do this, you're like, oh, I got a mother wound, all this daddy wounds and, daddy issues, mother. And this could go very well to a man, a mother wound that you did not have, a mother in love and nurture. So therefore, you in these same situations. There is no big gender in this. So some gentle truth. The cost shows up later. What does that mean? It shows up in your relationship, in the way that you believe in God, in leadership, and how we treat ourselves. All right. So this is where survival quietly becomes a prison. But did you die? What do you mean? But did you die? I'm stuck. I can't go nowhere. I'm in prison. I don't know how to love myself. I don't know how to put myself first. I have no boundaries. So I want to kind of pause here and offer you a question. So you don't have to answer it perfectly, just honestly. What did I have to suppress to keep the peace with my mother? In the household, right? Was it sadness? Was it my anger? Do as I say. In my household, my needs, my voice, my softness. Whatever comes up, you're not wrong for it. Awareness is not betrayal. It's the beginning of healing. Sit with it. Ask it. Ponder it. Let it come up. If you need some tissue, you need to get some stuff and cry, slow down. Let's do it. Let's take a moment. It's the beginning of healing right now. We are changing. We're getting out of survival mode. We're becoming new. We're loving ourselves. We're preparing a place for our inner child to feel safe. Right? Our mothers taught us how to survive. So the way of honor thy mother in church culture. In church spaces, honor thy mother was often taught without context, without nuance, and without room for emotional truth. So honor became obedience. Honor became silence. Honor became endurance. So if you ever question your mother, you were out of order. If you expressed hurt, you were disrespectful. If you named the pain, you were rebellious or ungrateful. So many of us learned early on that being a good daughter meant being quiet about what hurt. So in a lot of cases, you hear the story, honor thy mother and thy father so thy days will be long. Children, obey your parents. And so I heard this before and from another podcaster. I can't remember the name, but she did say that. She says that these are oftentimes in emotional bondage to keep people into repeated patterns, into doing what I tell you to do. And when you are an adult, you're no longer fitting that requirement of children obey. And so now you, as an adult, you get to choose if things are right and wrong. Like when you were a kid, your mama told you to go up there and buy some cigarettes. This for the older generation. They would say like their mama told them to go get some cigarettes. They had to go get it. They couldn't not do what they say. Now as an adult, you don't have to be devoted blind loyalty to parents, where if you feel it's wrong and if you don't want to do it, you feel afraid that they're going to abandon you and you got to do stuff or they're going to whoop you or punish you and leave you. So, doing that, obey and honor, this was more of a prison to tolerate toxic things from parents, especially if they were toxic and weren't healthy. So if you expressed hurt, you were disrespectful. If you say that you didn't want to do it, you were being disobedient. Even as a grown adult, for years I said, I'm grown, until I realized I'm only trying to convince me to tell her and other people I'm grown because I'm afraid of what's going to happen. Right? So the guilt of naming maternal harm in faith spaces. And here's the guilt that followed us into adulthood. If I name this, am I dishonoring God? If I don't do what they say, am I being disobedient? Am my days going to be cut short? If I talk about this, am I being disobedient? If I heal, am I betraying my family? This guilt is heavy, and it keeps women stuck in emotional bondage while calling it righteousness. So if you have experienced a lot of this, ask yourself, are you trying to prove to them or you that you are grown? And what are you afraid will happen if you do? So many of us learn to spiritualize pain instead of process it. Woo! Many of us learn to spiritualize pain instead of process it. Take it to the altar. We prayed about wounds. We never named and know what it is. So therefore, if it come and spin the block, you wouldn't know it's the same wound. We forgave things we never grieved, never buried. Just, forgive and forget, or just forgive, and love. That's true. But you have to process that and grieve it. Now, for some of those, y'all ain't got to process. Okay, cool. Okay, y'all ain't got to process. Y'all can dust y'all feet and move on. But a lot of us, deal with, that hurt me. But because you don't communicate this often, you don't sit with it, it's just internalized and it runs in your spirit and your mind and your brain. Am I enough? Am I worth it? Or do I have to continue to live like this? So listen to me. Unprocessed pain doesn't disappear. It shows up later in our bodies, our relationship, and our faith. Unprocessed pain it doesn't disappear. Just because you don't think about it, because you moved on, because you're working years later, that doesn't mean it's gone. So reclaiming Jesus' model of the truth telling. So one of the most misunderstood things about faith is this: Jesus was not afraid of truth. Even when it has disrupted family systems, traditions, or expectations. So he honored people and confronted harm. He loved deeply and set boundaries. So truth telling is not rebellion. Boundaries are not bitterness. Healing is not dishonor. So people be thinking, you think you better, you setting boundaries. I'm trying to protect me. So the boundaries are for you and for me so I can show up the best me. Can't show up the best me if you're hurting me and causing me to feel a certain type of way. So I can't show up. All right. So if faith teaches us anything, it teaches us how to be whole, not how to disappear. All right. So let me say this clearly, because someone needs permission to breathe it right now. Healing your mother wounds does not dishonor your mother. It honors your life. Healing does not dishonor, it liberates. You can appreciate what she gave and still name what she couldn't. We don't have to create another generation of self-perseverance, of neglect, or figure it out, or trauma. We don't have to. We can stop it right here. You can love her and still stop the bleeding in her name. Liberation doesn't come from pretending nothing happened. It comes from telling the truth with compassion. Now, all of this is in a safe environment. I'm not telling you to go and tell your mama, well, you didn't love me, or you ain't come to my graduation and my baby shower. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is sit down with it. Heal it. Don't bleed over into you and your daughter relationship. Stop it now. I want you to feel this and hear this and see this. I want to offer you time to create a new generation. Let's not repeat patterns. So repeat this out loud or just let it settle in your body. I can love my mother and still name the parts of me that broke because of her. Both things can be true. Love doesn't require silence. So faith does not require self-abandonment. Right? So when we don't heal what hurt us, we don't just carry it. We repeat it. It becomes a generational curse, a generational pattern, a generational trauma of survival patterns passed down to generations. And that's where this next layer comes in, because even when we promise ourselves we'll be different, those unhealed places still peek their head up and come out, right? So let's talk about what happens when you realize you're not her, but sometimes you feel like her. So I can love my mother and still name the parts of me that broke because of her. Affirmation, okay? So you're not her even when you feel like her. You promise yourself you never become your mother. I'll never be like her. I'm going to love my daughter differently, and I'm going to listen, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. But when you're tired, when you're hurting, sometimes you do. I remember a lot of times I repeated things that my mom did to me that I did not want to do with my daughter. And I started doing like, okay, what would my mama would not do at that time? I got a different mama. Now she, things are different. And so I receive her and accept her for the mother that she is now. And I let go of the things that I believe that she needs to do. So I'll pause right here for this. Some of the healing that I had to do was grieve her and grieve what I thought I had needed from her. And so I asked myself, one moment I said, if I was to ask my mom, what is a mother? And give me 3 things a mother, what you would describe a mother. And I know for a fact that she would say a mother is someone who takes care of her kids, protects them, provides for them, covers them, and bring them into church. And lead them into church. And I sat myself down. It's called the empty chair technique. And I think it's a Gestalt. I don't remember. But it's called the empty chair technique. So check it out. Take a look at it and check it out. But I did it differently. I didn't hop between chairs and do this. But so I asked myself that question. And I responded into what she would say. These are what a mother is. And I went back and I said, and she did everything that she said that was a mother was. And so I had to let that go, because in my mind, a mother was something totally different. But how can I expect her to have that and that expectation and that standard when that was my belief system? And I'm at this age. And so how was I supposed to know that to tell her this at a young age? So I had to release her from that expectation that I felt like she was not able to do and to give me. And I grieved that and I freed her, because she did what she thought she needed to do as a mother. And she was a mother. So she did based on her knowledge. So I had to release her, because I was holding her to something that she didn't even know she was being held to. And that was not her fault or job. So I had to release that and let it go and forgive and move on from that. I processed it. So there's a moment many of us don't talk about. The moment you hear your mother's voice come out of your mouth. Do as I say. But did you die? You promise yourself you never become her. But when you're tired, when you're overwhelmed, when your nervous system is stretched thin, that the things that you learn, that innate part, and that Monica Ann comes out, toe to toe, coming out. And before shame rushes in, let me say this clearly, that this doesn't mean you failed or she failed. It means there's something asking to be healed. So how unhealed mother wounds repeat themselves? Let's get into that. So what we don't heal, we don't just carry it, we reenact it. So unhealed mother wounds don't stay in childhood. They show up in adulthood as patterns. So some concrete examples. We become overly responsible because we had to grow up too fast. We struggle to receive care because we were taught not to need it. We correct instead of comfort because that's what we were shown. But did you die? We withdraw emotionally because closeness once felt unsafe. Any of these ringing a bell? These aren't character flaws. No, ma'am. They are survival strategies that once kept you safe. Right? That kick them out, get them out your house. They'll figure it out. That's a survival tactic to self-persevere, to protect you, and force survival trauma on the next generation. They will figure it out. Somewhere we got to break the pattern. Right? Mother wounds don't just show up in parenting. They show up everywhere. We look for our mothers in friendships. We look for her in leaders. We look for her in romantic partners. So I remember a time where I was grieving not having the relationship that I have now with my mother. And then, God had begun to speak to me and said, you are not without a mother. It's not a matter of if, but the Bible says, when my mother and my father forsake me, God is there. And so he reminded me of that. And then he also reminded me of all the mother figures I had after my mother. I've had several women in my life that has come into my life that were mother figures. This is a reminder to you, like, look back. Have you been without a mother? Have you been without a father? Or is it because you are not getting the one that you want and now everything is dark and gloomy? All right. So let's see. We overgive in friendships, hoping to finally be chosen. We crave approval from authority figures. We stay in relationships where we feel unseen because unseen feels familiar. We become the caretaker, the fixer, the emotional anchor, the mommying, the date that say, man, fix this up. Not because we're broken, but because part of us is still trying to get a need met. So ask yourself, when you are doing stuff and you fixing and you mommying, are you mommying because you didn't have a mommy? And you wish that you had these things and somebody to do it for you. So since nobody did it for you, you don't want nobody else to feel like this, so you do it for them. Breaking the cycle without shaming ourselves. So here's where compassion becomes essential. You cannot shame yourself into healing. You cannot punish yourself into becoming different. Cycles don't break through condemnation. They break through awareness, support, and gentleness. So noticing the pattern is already the interruption. When you pause instead of react, when you choose curiosity over criticism, you are already doing the work your younger self never got to do. All right? So Another question. I want to offer you a question, not to judge yourself, but to understand yourself. So brace yourself, buckle up, sit back. You are not under attack. Where do I mother others better than I mother myself? My inside but I didn't want to do it right now. Where do I mother others better than I mother myself? Do I extend more grace to others than I do myself? Do I meet everyone else's needs before I meet my own? Do I offer comfort outwardly but deny it inwardly? Your answers are informations, not indictment, okay? Pull it and write it down. Buckle up. I got you, okay? This goal is not to erase your mother from your story. The goal is to stop abandoning yourself while trying to be different. And that brings us to the next layer of healing. I know this is heavy. You like, wait a minute. What does it actually look like to mother yourself? I can't leave you out here with all this and not help you, right? So on purpose, with care and without guilt. So, question again, where do I mother others better than I mother myself? 4, what mothering yourself really means. So softness isn't a luxury. It is your birthright. So regulate before you go deep. Let's go deep. Before I ask anything else, I want you to take one slow, deep breath with me. Not a fixing breath, not a productive breath, just a being present and receiving breath. If you have to put your hand on your heart and your hand on your stomach to hold on, center yourself. This isn't about doing, it's about allowing. Breathe in, breathe out. This is part of regulating your emotions and your nervous system. All right. So disrupt the self-care myth. All right. So nervous system reparenting. That's what we have to do. The reparenting. That's the word. When was the first time you learned that rest had to be earned? We talked about this. When was the first time you learned that rest had to be earned? Who taught you that softness was irresponsible? That slowing down was dangerous? That needing comfort was weakness? If your body had a voice right now, not your faith voice, no, not your strong voice. Oh, I don't need nobody. I got it. I'm good. I don't need no man. I don't need no woman. I don't need no mama. I don't need no daddy. I don't need nobody. I'm good. Or your therapist, not your therapist voice. Not what I'm saying. Not Dr. Survivalist. Your internet therapist in the pink coat. What would it ask you for? If your body had a voice right now, what would it ask you for? When you're overwhelmed, do you soothe yourself? Do you have a recovery plan? When you're triggered, when you're stressed, when you burn out and you check out, what's your recovery plan, sis? How do you get yourself back? How do you nurture and take care of yourself like you do for those kids, like you do for that man, like you do for that church, like you do for everybody else? Where do you come in? When you're overwhelmed, do you soothe yourself or do you shame yourself into pushing through? But did you die? What does comfort look like in your body? Not in theory, but in practice. Not, well, I would. No, now. It starts now. Starts now. Who taught you how to be gentle with yourself? Are you gentle with yourself? When you're hurting, do you allow yourself to rest? Or do you default to productivity so you don't have to feel? I know a lot of y'all know that. On to the next one. On to the next one. And never really sitting, learning, growing, evolving, realizing most of this is because of you. You are where you are because of the decisions you are making. I had to pull your edges just a little bit, you know, I'm being, but I step on church toes. Where have you been loyal to exhaustion instead of loyal to your own well-being? What boundaries would you need to set if your healing actually mattered to you? I know that this is a kind of a therapist and support, but you know, we got to start making our mental and emotional, physical, spiritual, and financial health important. It has to matter to you. So if it matters to you, you would do something about it. Who benefits when you stay strong? And who suffers when you never soften? Who suffers the most? Is it you? Is it others? Come on, think about it. So learning to receive the love you never got. This may be the hardest question of all. So breathe. Do you know how to receive love? Or do you only know how to earn it? Whew. Do you know how to receive it? Do you know what it looks like? Or do you know how to earn it? When someone offers care, do you trust it? Or do you get uncomfortable, suspicious, or distant? What part of you still believes if I don't hold it together, I won't be loved? If the little girl in you were standing in front of you right now, what would she need to hear to finally feel safe? Take a moment to say it to her. If you can't say it because tears are coming down, write it down. Feel it. This is heavy today, right? I know it's heavy. I guess it's heavy because I went through it and I came out. It's hard, but we're here together to do it. Okay. So, self-mothering isn't the bubble baths. We already know that. Self-care isn't going to get my nails done and my hair done and a massage. It is nervous system safety. I know we're talking about a lot of safe, but the more you feel safe, the more you are not responding out of survival mode and fear. You get more options. You're more careful. You don't feel like I have to do this. Now you're stuck. You're anxious. You're depressed. But when you're not moving from survival, you're moving from love and healing. You're not rushed into things. You can think things clearly. It's learning how to stay with yourself when things get hard. It's choosing softness even when survival tells you to stay armored. It's letting your body know you don't have to earn rest. You don't have to be strong. You are safe with me. So softness is not a reward. It is your birthright. So I am allowed to give myself what she couldn't give me. And I don't have to wait until I'm healed, holy, or perfect to be cared for. Whew, I will say that again. I am allowed to give myself what she couldn't give me. I do not have to wait until I'm healed, holy, or perfect to be cared for. I am allowed to give myself what she couldn't give me. The matriarch in me is healing now. So you are becoming the mother your younger self needed, and the woman your future family will thank you for. So I want you to hear this part clearly as well, not as a metaphor, not as aspiration, but as truth. Whether you have children or not, whether you want them or not. Because we're in a generation where we get to pick, right? We're in a space where women are seeing the gravity of having children instead of just having rosy-covered glasses and being told to do these things because people want children. We're seeing the sacrifice. We're seeing the cost, and we're choosing. I'm all for that. You are the matriarch in the family, in the making. A matriarch is not just a woman who gives birth. She is a woman who breaks cycles, hold wisdom, and changes what gets passed down. So we're no longer passing boulder of fear and pain and trauma to the next generation. And right now, the matriarch is you in healing. All right. So creating a new maternal legacy. Legacy is not something you leave later. It's something you live now. Every time you choose softness over survival, truth over silence, rest over self-abandonment, you are rewriting the maternal story. You're giving the children that you are birthing or going to birth a life of love instead of fear, a life of presence instead of survival. Take time into planning. If you already have children, let's change right now. Let's shift it right now. Right? Let's do something different. Well, at one point in time, my mom didn't apologize. You got an extra whooping. Oh, well. Oh, well. Right? You were going to do something, or you did something. I don't remember what you did, or you didn't get caught. Oh, well. And so at that time, I said, what can I do that my mother, didn't do at that time? And so it was apologize. I apologize. When I was wrong, I apologized to my daughter. That was something different. Apologize. Oh, don't apologize to me. Oh, girl, go on somewhere. Get up out of my face. It's all in your head or whatever. Like, that's your story. That ain't mine. So, yeah, but now, she's a different person. And so we often have conversation. If she's wrong, she feels she's wrong. Well, I apologize. I'm sorry. And that's different. And so parts of me, when she was changing, wanted to refuse it because I wanted somebody to pay. But I had to challenge myself and say, are you going to miss out on this opportunity of the mother you have now because you want somebody to pay? Or are you willing to forgive and receive the mother that you wanted when you were younger? So when you try to make her pay, you're really the one that's paying for it, missing out on the woman here. Now, I'm not saying I hold her accountable. What I'm saying is don't miss out on what's now because of the pain of the unhealed trauma from your childhood. And everything may not be trauma, but unhealed stuff that you went through your childhood. So you are becoming the woman who listens instead of dismisses, the woman who confronts instead of criticizes, the woman who allows emotions instead of pushing it or punishing it. Even if no one ever told you how to do this, you are learning. So we talked about this in the first episode of season 2, naming what ends with you and what begins. There are some things that end with you. That's why stuff is so hard. You are called that it end with you. The silence ends with you. The emotional neglect ends with you. The belief that love must be earned ends with you. He's a good man, Savannah. That ends with you. The idea that strength requires suffering ends with you. That you must earn love ends with you. And there are things that will begin with you. Gentleness begins with you. Emotional safety begins with you. Boundaries without guilt begins with you. Whew. Mothering that includes softness begins with you. Getting a little bit emotional because I can see that. I can see that. This is how healing becomes inheritance. So we don't have to look at other cultures and look at how they get the opportunity to feel, but we don't. Not anymore. This is how healing becomes inheritance. What you are doing is bigger than you. When one woman stops surviving, it gives another woman permission to soften. When one woman tells the truth, it cracks the silence of generations. This is how movements are born. Not from perfection, but from women who decide, I will not pass down what broke me and my mother and her mother and generations before. Not in this season of my life. So I want you to take this and take some time into, we're going to get into these journal reflection and prompts. All right. So we're not rushing this. Let your answers be honest, not performance. All right. Where am I still grieving the love, protection, or tenderness I needed from my mother but did not receive? What parts of myself did I learn to suppress in order to keep the peace, earn love, or avoid punishment? In what ways am I repeating what once wounded me towards myself or towards others? If love were leading instead of survival, what would I do differently? What does the child in me still need to hear, feel, or receive in order to finally feel safe? Who do I become when I stop surviving and allow myself to receive care, rest, and support? What legacy of love, gentleness, and emotional safety do I want to pass down, beginning with how I treat myself? In this season of my life, how might God be inviting me to experience nurturing, comfort, and guidance in a new way? All right, next part, affirmations and transitions. So you got to have the affirmations. You got to have the questions. So you pull the questions out, you work on them, you journal them, and then you say the affirmation. So the affirmation is like speaking truth to what will be. It's kind of a prophecy for yourself of what you're transitioning into, getting your body and your mind and your soul ready for what this is going to be. So I carry parts of her story, but I am no longer bound to repeat it. I am choosing a new ending, one rooted in truth, softness, and care. So you are not here to relive what hurt you. You're here to repair what was never tended to you. I am not behind in my healing. I am not asking for too much. I am still worthy of being nurtured, held, and loved. Love. You don't have to heal her in order to love her. But you do have to stop leaving yourself behind in her name. That's it. That was it. I feel the heaviness in this. But I said buckle up. Sit back. Nobody's under attack. So if this episode stirred something in you, if you felt your chest soften or tighten or your throat, that wasn't weakness. Nope, that was recognition. Your body remembering a truth it's been holding for a long time. And if this conversation met you where you are, I invite you to share it. Send it to the woman who's always strong. We already know. Send it to a sister. Send it to your mama. Send it to your auntie, your grandmama, and them, and your sister that work at the job. To the one who never rests. The one who loves deeply and still feels unseen. Let her know this. You are not alone. You are not broken. You are becoming whole. You are not just someone's daughter. You are a cycle breaker. A legacy shifter, a matriarch in healing. You don't have to carry what broke you. You don't have to bleed to prove your love. You don't have to survive to belong. All right. So to pair with this episode, I did create a worksheet for this episode. You can find this worksheet in my website, But Did You Die Podcast, bdydpodcast.com. And right now, I thought I put them on there, but give me some time. I'm gonna put all of season 2 worksheets on there, and that way you can have access to do deeper healing and deeper work into everything we talked about in season 2. Now I know season 1 worksheets is on there, so go get season 1 worksheets and do this healing. So until next time, breathe deep, stay soft, keep healing, and remember, but did you die? All right, so this is more than a podcast. It's a movement, and we're mothering differently now. Bye, survivor Lees.